you're all set.
I'm calling to order this hearing or public roundtable of the Committee of the Whole of the Council of the District of Columbia. I'm Phil Mendelson, Chairman of the Council and Chair of the Committee of the Whole. Today is Friday, July 9th, 2021. The time is 9:34 in the morning, and we are conducting this roundtable virtually. It is being broadcast live over the Zoom video conference broadcast platform and the chairman's website, which is www.chairmanmendelson.com/live. The subject of this morning's roundtable is consideration of the mayor's 5 nominees to the Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes. The nominees are, or the resolutions to confirm the nominations are PR 24-251, entitled the Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes Margaret Siegel Confirmation Resolution of 2021, which would reappoint Ms. Siegel as a non-governmental member of the Commission. PR 24-252, the Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes, Dr. Kenneth Taylor Confirmation Resolution of 2021, which would confirm the reappointment of Dr. Taylor as a non-governmental member of the Commission. PR 24-253, the Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes, Matthew Hansen Confirmation Resolution of 2021, which would confirm the appointment as a new member, as a non-governmental member of the Commission. PR 24-254, the Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes, Reverend Gary Hill Confirmation Resolution of 2021, which would confirm the reappointment of Reverend Hill as a provider of youth development programs member of the Commission. And PR 24-255, the Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes, Walter Peacock Confirmation Resolution of 2021, which would confirm the reappointment of Mr. Peacock as a non-governmental member of the Commission. The mayor submitted these nominations to the council on Thursday, May 20th. And the purpose of this hearing is twofold. First, to provide the public an opportunity to comment on the nominees and for the committee to hear any concerns that might be raised by members of the public. And second, for the committee to hear from the nominees themselves prior to our moving forward with the confirmation of these nominees. I believe for the last several years, the previous Committee on Education did not hold hearings on nominees to the Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes Commission. I believe there is a value in using this roundtable for us to better understand the nominees as well as their views of the commission. We have on the witness list 4 of the 5 nominees and nobody else registered. So if the 4 nominees could be let into as panelists, and we'll proceed to hear testimony from them. I will note that the record in this matter will close at 5 p.m. this coming Monday, July 12th, because it's my intent that unless something unforeseen comes to our knowledge, that I will present the 4 nominees, because there are 4 present, to the council for confirmation on Tuesday the 13th. So I believe that Margaret Siegel is not present. So let's turn to Dr. Taylor. I should add before Dr. Taylor speaks, the law that sets up the Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes Commission provides that there's an Office of Out-of-School Time, and that the office oversees the Out-of-School Time program. And Out-of-School Time, let me see. An out-of-school time program means a structured, supervised learning of youth development program offered to district youth before school, after school, on weekends, or during seasonal school breaks. And the duties of the commission include setting the goals and scope of an annual community-wide needs assessment, which the office shall conduct, to identify and prioritize needs for out-of-school time programs and establish targets for out-of-school time funding. Also to draft and approve a strategic plan for out-of-school time programs and funding in the district that encourages interagency and community coordination and promotes equitable access for youth and families to high-quality youth development programs. And that strategic plan, even though it is adopted, has to be re-adopted or revised or reconsidered by the commission from time to time. I think it's every 3 years. And further, that the commission reviews on a regular basis the efforts of the Office of Out-of-School Time to fulfill the goals and priorities of the strategic plan. That's not all the duties, but some of them. So having given that background, Dr. Taylor, do you want to proceed, please? And good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Chairperson Mendelson. It's a find my mute button.
Yes, I can hear you, so you found it.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and members of the Committee of Education. I want to thank the Mayor, Mario Bowser, for this nomination and the committee's invitation to testify. It will indeed be an honor to continue with the Commission on the Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes. Currently, I serve as the Senior Program Manager for Strategic Planning and Reporting in the Office of Federal Student Aid at the U.S. Department of Education. I'm also the co-founder of the Partners for Educational Growth System, PEGS, a firm designed to bridge the pipeline between industry and minority youth in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I received my doctorate in higher education administration from Morgan State University in 2011. For the past 20 years, I have worked at every level of education from elementary and secondary to higher ed and now the federal level. My previous roles include classroom instructor, data analyst, and research director. My desire to continue my service with the Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants stems from a long life of service to people, community, and most important, children. While I didn't participate in traditional out-of-school time programs as a child, I have dedicated my adulthood to enriching school programs for the youth in my community. Since our last convening, I have taken the role as the president of my local fraternities chapter, where we host and run more than 8 student programs to include robotics, aviation, mentoring, camping, and our Room to Read program. Many of the participants come from low-income families, single parents, and many have never stayed away from home without their guardians. It is these types of experiences that let me know that this work is important not only for our future, but for our present. My platform as president of the chapter includes building that relationship with the community and with other organizations whose missions are focused on building the youth throughout the District of Columbia. As a resident of Ward 7, I see kids walking to and from school every morning. Many of these kids show little urgency as they do not seem to be excited about the opportunities or lack thereof at their schools. But I know that these programs provide hope and a sense of pride and encourage students to think of something bigger than the immediate surroundings. It is my biggest joy to watch young minds establish and develop their purpose, and I will be honored to continue the work as a commissioner if confirmed. The COVID-19 emergency happened in 2020 was an unprecedented time for the nation, and especially in the District of Columbia. Like every other entity, Out-of-School Time Grants Commission had to pivot. As we move forward, we must focus on ensuring that each of our students are prepared to advance to the next phases of their educational level. We must be patient and stern with helping our students to reach their full potential. My vision on the commission is to provide my experience as an educator, a thinker, and a provider of such programs. My experiences provide a perspective that will challenge the status quo as it relates to what students need and deserve. My goal is to learn as much as I can about the commission and from the commissioners and volunteer on committees that have need, and then provide my insight after that process is complete. I look forward to continuing work with the Commission and securing a future for our students. This concludes my testimony. Thank you again, Chairperson Mendelson, for holding this hearing today, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Can you provide us today a copy of your statement?
Yes.
And also, we had sent some questions to you before the hearing. I don't believe we've received them yet, your answers. Can you make sure we get those today?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Matthew Hansen.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Mendelson and members of the Committee of the Whole. My name is Matthew Hansen, and I appreciate the opportunity to testify today regarding my nomination to the Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Opportunities. I would like to thank the Mayor for nominating me for this position. In addition to having spent more than a decade working as an advocate, from 2005 to 2007, I also served as an AmeriCorps member in Washington, D.C. During this time, I worked in dozens of public and public charter schools and saw firsthand the importance and value of OST programming. This period helped shape my commitment to advancing just policies and practices that center the needs of children and their families. I currently serve as the Chief of Staff at DC Action, an organization that uses data, research, and a racial equity lens to break down barriers that stand in the way of all kids reaching their full potential. Our collaborative advocacy initiatives bring the power of young people and all residents to raise their voices to create change. We are the home of the DC Out of School Time Coalition, the Under 3 DC Coalition, and DC Kids Count, an online resource that tracks key indicators of child and youth well-being. It would be an honor and a privilege to serve on the Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Opportunities. As part of my role at DC Action, I help to facilitate our coalition focused on strengthening out-of-school time, and along with our policy analyst, Riley Denelco, work to help ensure that all out-of-school time programs have a voice in shaping the decisions and policies that directly affect them and the young people they serve. Our coalition is made up of dozens of programs from across the district that serve all 8 wards. Together, we advocate for access to high-quality learning opportunities beyond the school day that prepare DC's youth for success in education, careers, and life. We also conduct original policy analysis and research to support our efforts. I believe our mission aligns perfectly with that of the Commission. OST programs play a vital role in supporting students' academic success and social and emotional learning, and now more than ever, families are counting on these programs. The pandemic has put greater stress on communities and worsened education disparities more than anyone could have imagined a year ago, and we need to work together to make sure we promote holistic solutions to these challenges. If confirmed, I hope to bring our organizational and coalition support and knowledge to the table to advance our shared goals of ensuring that every young person grows up safe, resilient, powerful, and heard. Our coalition has grown from about a dozen member organizations to more than 50 in the first 6 months of this year, and has worked hard to advance the interests of these programs and the people they serve. Each month, we hold a virtual coalition meeting attended by about 40 representatives from member organizations and meet weekly as a core team to plan our agenda and the issues we wish to address. We invite guest speakers from groups such as the Washington Regional Association of Grant Makers, the DC Fiscal Policy Institute, Learn 24, DCPS, and have organized and held meetings with the Deputy Mayor of Education, Paul Kine, DCPS Chancellor Louis Farabee, and all district lead education agencies, as well as council members and their staff. Because the difficult yet rewarding and important work of out-of-school time programs is sometimes overlooked, we've also worked hard to elevate our program's labor and service. We have published 12 blog posts on the DC Action website featuring the stories of these programs and their continued efforts to provide vital services to students and families during the pandemic, how they pivoted, and how they are preparing students for a smooth and successful transition back to in-person learning this fall. The blog series features organizations that have stepped up to help students navigate distance learning at the beginning of the pandemic and who have gone above and beyond to provide resources and referrals to families and help students deal with the trauma and find a sense of belonging in a time of widespread isolation. They have also featured the voices of young people directly about the benefits of their programs. We also feature the voices of some of these young people in our video series. We've launched 12 videos earlier this year where young people have testified about the importance of OST in their life. sharing messages such as, quote, "The enrichment activities and lessons help me grow as a person and prepare me for future experiences after graduating from high school," and, quote, "Having a program like this after school and during the summer means a lot because it increases my learning ability and will help me as I enter the third grade. We've done all this and we're just getting started. If I'm fortunate enough to join the commission, I hope to serve as a partner in advancing equity within OST. Finally, this work is also personal to me. As I moved to the DC area in 2000, and after a brief period away for school and work, my wife and I moved back here in 2013 and have welcomed our child into the world where we're in 2018. Roberto, say hi. There you go. We live in Ward 7, and I'm an active member of our community, volunteering with causes and organizations that align with our values and help promote anti-racist and just programs and policies so that we have a district that includes and works for everyone. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have today.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. And we don't have a copy of your statement either. Can you provide that to us today?
Yes, I submitted the answers to the questionnaire on Friday and my testimony on Monday, but last Friday I submitted the answers to the questionnaire to MODA and emailed my testimony on Monday, but I'm happy to resend it.
Okay, yes, we don't have your statement. We do have the answers, and thank you for that.
Okay.
Reverend Hill. And good morning. You're on mute.
Good morning, Chairman Mendelson and members of the Committee of the Whole. First, I want to express my sincerest thank you to Mayor Bowser for this nomination to the District Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes Commission. Secondly, let me thank the committee members for holding this hearing and the opportunity to address you today. My name is Apostle Gary B. Hill. I am submitting this statement no problem. I'm having a technical problem. Can you hear me?
No, we can hear you. There's a little bit of feedback, but we can hear you. Is there another computer that's on in the same room? I think we're okay.
We're okay now?
Yeah, we seem to be.
Okay. I earned an executive certificate in nonprofit management at Georgetown University and a Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies. I am the executive director and founder of Exodus Treatment Center, Incorporated, a 501c3 not-for-profit community-based Christian organization known for providing high-quality services. The senior pastor of Exodus Deliverance Ministries and the overseer and founder of Exodus Covenant Ministries. During the COVID-19 global pandemic, Exodus Treatment Center Incorporated was activated as an epicenter under my leadership to provide coronavirus testing and distribute PPE and food throughout Ward 7 and 8 and the neighboring communities. I also convened the Project Building Blocks Faith-Based Leadership team in partnership with the DC Guns Violence Prevention Emergency Operations Center. For my commitment to implement lasting changes to communities I serve, I received the Be the Solution Award from New Beginnings Leadership Institute. In addition, I serve as a commissioner for the Office of High School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes the past 2 years. I partner with smaller nonprofits to strengthen, mentor, and build capacity. Similarly, I serve as an advisor to the 7 Districts Metropolitan Police Department Commander, the DC Housing Authority Executive Officer, and community stakeholders. As a dependable public servant, I advocate for the needs of the undeserved populations, and my organization serves as a connector for district residents, neighboring communities, and government entities. Additionally, throughout my work, I've been able to influence at-risk youth to better make life choices through strategic planning, such as the Urban Institute Pass Project, Exodus Girls Group, summer camps, and a homework club. I'm extremely interested in becoming reappointed as a commissioner because of the position, although challenging, has given me an opportunity to make a positive impact on a cause I am deeply passionate about. More importantly, it has been a great way to establish collaborative relationships, to create a shared vision for academic learning and achievement opportunities. Looking ahead to the future, I envision all youth living in the District of Columbia with access to quality education, shared resources, stronger sustainable relationships with the most vulnerable in our communities, and an accessible program in the community level. As commissioner, my vision as a board is to provide a cultural setting by acting on all matters, issues, and goals with ethics and integrity, and will provide equitable services throughout the city. I am confident that my professional and personal background will be an added value to the commission going forward. In closing, I want to thank you for the opportunity to allow me to share my testimony. Look forward to being confirmed and happy to answer any questions that you may have. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. We got your written answers, so I appreciate that. But we don't have a copy of your statement. So if you could provide that today, please.
Absolutely. Happy to forward it over.
Thank you. Walter Peacock.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Mendelson, and good morning, members of the Committee of the Whole. I would like to begin my testimony today by thanking you for the opportunity to testify here today. And I would also like to thank Mayor Muriel Bowser for her leadership and for nominating me for another term. My name is Walter Peacock, and for the past few years, I have greatly treasured serving as a commissioner on the Commission of Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes, the Commission. As the Vice Chairman of the Commission, and currently as the Chairman of the Commission, as a young Black male and a recent graduate from Howard University's Political Science Department, I was honored to be approached with this opportunity. This type of opportunity is one that normally would have availed itself to me much later in my career. So for me, it is quite a big deal to serve my community in this way, and especially in a sector that directly impacts young people and the nonprofit organizations that serve them. I was originally born and raised in Southeast DC in Ward 7 to a family that traces back to the community at least 3 generations, as far as I know. We moved to California when I got a little bit older, which gave me the opportunity to broaden my perspective and see what things are like on the other side of the country. One thing that was extremely consistent throughout my life and my younger sister's life, whether it was in our time spent out here or in our time spent in California, is that my mother always ensured that we were constantly enrolled in excellent out-of-school time programs. This was invaluable to us because it exposed us to many positive experiences and learning opportunities and played an essential role in our development. As a result of my enrollment in out-of-school time programs, I grew up playing countless sports, which led me to become a Division I collegiate athlete. And I also learned how to play the violin, and I'm now a professional concert violinist. I've also had opportunities to be involved in local politics like this. For my younger sister, my mother found an after-school STEM program in DC, which eventually led to her become a young genius who is now studying computer science with a focus in artificial intelligence at Stanford University on an Amazon Future Engineer Scholarship. I say this just to emphasize just how powerful of an effect the out-of-school time programs my mother involved us in had on shaping the outcomes of our lives. As a product of the out-of-school time programs in DC, I love hearing the public speakers in our meetings. I particularly enjoy meeting the leaders of nonprofits and learning about what they're doing in the community, what's working and what isn't working. As someone who is still young and coming into my purpose in life, I feel that this role is a part of it, and I love the fact that I get to help out the district's youth while still not being too far removed from them. The best part of this commission is seeing how much everyone cares about the work that they're doing. For instance, we regularly spend quite a bit of time discussing just 1 or 2 sentences on the commission's verbiage in a particular document, which demonstrates the meticulousness of its members and just how much each person on the commission truly cares about the work they're doing. I want to continue serving on the commission because I want to be a part of creating more out-of-school opportunities for the youth in the district. I believe involvement in out-of-school opportunities contributes immensely to the successful future outcomes for youth. My experience, my sister's experience, and the experiences of our friends is all a testament to the benefits of these programs, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. I believe that serving on this commission is part of my purpose, and I'm very happy to use my skills, network, and experiences to give back to my community and to help other young people grow. Thank you for your time and consideration. I truly appreciate the opportunity I've had to be a part of this so far. It really means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peacock. We don't have either the written answers or your statement. Could you provide both of those to us today?
Absolutely. I can send them right after this.
Thank you. And just out of curiosity, had you previously submitted them to MODA, the Mayor's Office of Appointments?
I believe so. I know I sent them to Adana at least, but I can definitely send them to the committee as a whole.
Please do, because we need, and for everybody who might ask, we had the answers, written answers from two, Mr. Hanston and Reverend Hill, but we don't have statements from any of you. And if we could get those today, I'd appreciate that. Mr. Peacock, not that it matters, but we always in our committee report state what a person is currently doing, and it's not clear to me what you are currently doing. How would you want us to describe that?
In regards to the commission or just in general?
In general.
So in general, I've been working as a data analyst and performing as a violinist in the community.
Okay.
Yes, sir. As well as serving on the commission, which is greatly appreciated.
Okay. So currently working as a data analyst, and I think you said violinist, we probably would say musician.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask three of you. Mr. Peacock, when were you first appointed?
I believe it was at the end of 2017.
And Reverend Hill, when were you first appointed? You're muted.
It was about 2 years ago.
So that's like 2018. And Dr. Taylor, when were you first appointed? Dr. Taylor, Lieutenant Taylor?
My apologies. It was 2019.
Okay. Now, the three of you, Mr. Peacock, Dr. Taylor, and Reverend Hill, you've been on the commission for a while. How would you describe how much time it takes to serve? Let me start with Mr. Peacock.
Yes, sir. I would say at first it took a lot more time. Now that we kind of have our rhythm down, it's much more efficient. So it doesn't really take, too much time of our time. It's more so just enjoyable to get to meet with everyone. I would say we're meeting about maybe once every 2 months now.
Meeting once every 2 months? And
Yes,
roughly how much time do you spend preparing for the meetings? How long do the meetings last?
I would say overall maybe about 4 hours, maybe 2 preparing, or 1 or 2 preparing, and then the meetings are about another 2 to 3, depending on what's going on that day.
Thank you. Dr. Taylor, Reverend Hill, do you spend any more time than that?
So for me, because this is kind of what I do all day, every day is spent doing these types of activities. As Commissioner Peacock stated, it's not any time that's out of the norm. It's a reasonable amount of time and very efficient.
Reverend Hill?
When we first started, we met every month, and I'm in agreement with the other commissions in terms of the length of time. Now we meet every 2 months. So, yeah.
All right. Now I'm actually going somewhere with this question. So I'm going to ask each of you, including Mr. Hanson, if you're reappointed, do you have the time to serve? Mr. Peacock?
Absolutely.
Reverend Hill?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Taylor?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Another question I ask all nominees at hearings is whether you know of any conflicts of interest. Now, 3 of you have been on the commission. So, Mr. Peacock, have you had any conflicts of interest, or do you foresee that you might have a conflict of interest?
No, sir.
Reverend Hill?
No conflicts. Thank you.
Dr. Taylor?
No conflicts.
Mr. Hanson.
No conflicts.
And the other question I always ask at hearings, actually I ask more than these three, but standard question is whether you're current in your taxes and other debts to the government, district and federal government. Mr. Peacock.
Yes, sir. I'm current.
Reverend Hill.
Current, Commissioner.
Dr. Taylor.
I am current.
And Mr. Hanson.
Yes, current.
So let me just ask a little bit about some challenges or goals. And maybe I'll start with the current chair, Mr. Peacock. Challenges you see with the commission or goals that you would like further for the commission?
Sure. Great question. I would say a challenge we faced was, since this was a brand new commission, we spent a lot of time just getting everything up and running, getting, what we wanted to do with the commission, all our verbiage down for the documentation ready. And then we got hit by the pandemic. So it kind of slowed everything down right as we were picking up speed. So I would say the biggest thing and the biggest goal is just ramping back up to where we are and finishing strong.
Reverend Hill.
Yeah, again, just echoing Commissioner Peacock, just building up the momentum and the steam, getting things going in the beginning, and just kind of finalizing some of the information and some of the meetings together. And, we don't meet every week, and I think that was somewhat of a challenge. We only met twice every other month or every month, and just bringing it all together at that time. So I think one of the goals that we have is just to continue to recognize that it takes time to bring everything together, and we're not trying to just develop a modem that's not really completely thought through and very well versed in terms of trying to get things together.
Dr. Taylor.
Thank you. I agree with the commissioners. Am I getting feedback? Gary, can you mute your? Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Peacock and Commissioner Hill. I would say I don't really see many challenges. I will see opportunities. With this being, a fairly new commission, I think we're still in the exploratory phase, and it's only up from here. We have some very bright minds that are leading the commission, and the other commissioners are very excited. And I get excited when I hear their experiences, because I think all of those different experiences will only help us to get better. So I see opportunity, not many challenges.
Mr. Hanson, so now you haven't been on the commission. You did speak to this in your written answers, but do you want to see some changes in the commission, or what are you hoping to achieve, or where do you think the commission needs to go, or do you think it's just, however you want to answer that question?
I would just echo, I think, what Dr. Taylor was saying, that I really look at this as a great opportunity to be able to participate in the Out of School Time Commission. During my day job at DC Action, we helped to facilitate the Out of School Time Coalition. And one of the things, as I know you are aware of, and thank you for your support in it, is we are interested in making sure that we continue to grow funding for out of school time, to make sure every young person and family who wants access to these programs has it. And I know the commission plays a really important role in that. And so hoping that we can, combine our efforts, and look forward to working with everybody towards those shared goals.
So let me ask a different question. If I remember correctly, the statute provides that it's a 21-member commission. That's pretty large. Not all of them are members who are nominated by the mayor and confirmed by the council. Many of them are statutory. That's pretty big. Does everybody get along? And I think I'll look at Mr. Peacock, as he's the chair, but the rest of you disagree if you don't think he gives the right answer. And I don't mean to be glib about that. I really want an honest discussion, because I think this is important, whether members of a board or commission get along. So, Mr. Peacock?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to answer. I would say, in my experience, it seems like everyone gets along very well. Now, getting along doesn't mean they don't occasionally have disagreements about certain topics they're passionate about, but it's all productive disagreements, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. So you would say that the members work well together. My understanding is that the primary function of the office is to dispense with grants. And my impression is that the commission is looking at what the office is doing. And I would hope giving some input or feedback to the office if the commission thinks that the grants are not being targeted right, or need to go out the door faster, or if there needs to be just some improvements made to grant making. Can you speak to that? I don't want to be singling Mr. Peacock out every time, so let me start with Dr. Taylor. What's your view of how the grant making is going?
Could you state it differently?
Well, there's a lot of money for the Office of Out of School Time Grants to be granting.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be doing it well or badly, and in between. They could be doing it well, but maybe differently. What I'm asking for is your view on the grant making.
Yeah, currently, I think the process is clear and fair. I would say just one thing for the commission that we may want to consider is just doing a, I don't want to say survey, but just getting awareness from the actual participants and the parents of how well the various programs are going. And so we may find that, you know, some of the programs are going better than others, or there's some other things that we should be focused on. But I think as it stands, we've done a really good job in identifying the needs and making the appropriate granting.
Reverend Hill?
Yeah, thank you. Just want to jump in just a little bit on the on that response from Dr. Taylor. Yeah, I think that the commission and the office led under Executive Director Molly Yoakum do a very good job, specifically with communities east of the river, and making where we recognize that we have a deficit with regard to educational efforts. And they do an outstanding job, not only making sure that our challenged communities are receiving adequate funding, but also other communities across the city.
I mean, I view that the commission has an important role in guiding or checking, as in, you know, like in chess, checkmate, checking the office if it's could be doing better or differently with grants. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get a sense of here. Whether you think it's going well or could be different, or along those lines. Mr. Peacock, so what would you say with regard to the grant making?
I would say I believe it's going well. I enjoy the different outlooks that each commissioner on the commission brings to the table. One important discussion we had, for example, was how we judge quality in out of school time programs, because there's just such a vast array of different youth programs in the district. So how can we pit, for example, maybe an IT training program against a youth sports program? Because when you're looking at quality, one might prepare them for professional development skills and stuff like that, but the kids might really get a lot out of playing those sports. So we really have a lot of interesting discussions about things like what quality means, what the youth get out of each individual program. So that's something that kind of broadens everyone's perspective, which I enjoyed hearing.
And I think that sounds important. Mr. Hanson, so you have viewed the grant making from the outside, other than the issue of whether there's enough money for grants. Would you say that generally it's in the right direction, or what comments do you have with regard to the grant making?
I think so. Sorry, I have my son here. I think in general, it's gone in the right direction. I think there is some logistical feedback that would be helpful. There are some questions about rollover dollars. I know right now, just given um, some programming challenges that OST programs experienced during the pandemic, that might be a question, and a few other things that I'd be happy to address in written follow-up. But I think folks are happy with how the office has operated, and I think any feedback that would be offered would be constructive.
Let me add to this. The council right now, as some or maybe all of you know, is in the throes of looking at next year's budget. And there's an interest in the council in increasing the budget for out-of-school time grants. I don't know how much we're going to increase it, but we're talking in the millions. We're not talking about in the tens of dollars, but the millions of dollars. So there's going to be more, and it's because the council sees that out-of-school time grants, or I should say out-of-school time activities, can be an important factor in dealing with the learning loss that we think has occurred over the past year, year and a half. So it really elevates the importance of what you guys are doing and what the commission is doing. Now, the statute requires that there has to be a strategic plan. And tell you the truth, as I'm sitting here, I don't know if there is one or if it's been updated. Mr. Peacock?
Yes, sir. What is the question?
The statute requires that there's a strategic plan.
Right.
And the commission is required to draft and approve a strategic plan for out-of-school time programs and funding. And it's supposed to be updated, I believe, at least every 3 years. I don't know. Is there a strategic plan, and when was it last updated?
Yes, sir. We have been working on some strategic planning documents. For those allocations, specifically the millions of dollars of increasements you're talking about, I'm not sure if we've specifically planned for that, but it sounds great. I'm excited that that is coming forward.
Yeah, no, I wasn't asking about a plan for the dollars we haven't yet budgeted, which we probably will, but just in general, whether there is a strategic plan and it was last updated.
Yes, sir. So that's something that we've been working on as the commission's been growing. So it's definitely been regularly updated.
The statute also requires that the commission set the goals and scope of an annual community-wide needs assessment, which the office, not the commission, the office shall conduct to identify and prioritize needs for out-of-school time programs and establish targets for out-of-school time funding. So now I realize that with the pandemic, things haven't worked the same way, but has the commission been doing an annual, setting the goals and scope for an annual community-wide needs assessment?
Absolutely. I would say that's been one of the primary focuses.
Do either you, Reverend Hill, or Dr. Taylor want to add to that? Since you're members of the commission?
No, as far as my understanding is that has been taking place, Chairman.
No additional comments from me.
Okay, silence is fine. Let me just see if I have any other questions for you. Give me just a second. Give me just a second. So I'm not quite sure how to phrase this question, but we have out of school time needs across the city. A couple of you talked about how their needs can be greater in certain communities. I think one or two of you mentioned specifically east of the river. It's my sense that we've seen greater challenges with learning loss among lower income communities. And so it does speak to equity. As I said, I'm not quite sure how to ask the question. Maybe I'll do it this way, and that is, what is your view? I'm going to ask each of you to answer this. What's your view of how we provide quality programming across the city, while at the same time giving the appropriate attention to equity and the needs associated with equity? Mr. Peacock.
Sure, great question. And I would say that's really where that needs assessment that you brought up comes into play, because we can look at each program objectively and see what they're providing, what they're offering, what the children are getting out of it. But at the same time, we can also look at it holistically and see, again, like I mentioned earlier, so maybe a program's providing children with tutoring skills and a program's providing them with IT skills to train them for the workforce. But maybe the kids are just getting a lot out of playing basketball with their friends in a safe environment, and maybe that's therapeutic for them. So I think one thing in our community is that no two children are really the same. Their backgrounds are completely different. And so it's about not only what is that opportunity providing them, but what are they getting out of that opportunity? And I think that's how we really start approaching the equity.
Thank you. Dr. Taylor.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Peacock hit it on the nail. It really comes down to resources. And I think when we think of resources, they're not really a way to make them equitable unless we know what the needs are, as he stated. Every student is different, and $5 for one student is not the same for another. And so just having that needs assessment, as he stated, I think will help to increase the awareness of what the needs are. And as he said, sometimes it's just a matter of simple programming that helps them to get the therapy they need, particularly with us coming out of this, this COVID emergency. I know the commissioners, we've talked about those support services that they may need. And so it may not even be educational. It may be both educational as well as therapy. So just having an awareness of that.
Thank you. Mr. Hanson.
I would echo the comments that Commissioner Peacock and Dr. Taylor said. I think the needs-based assessment, which is something I'm particularly interested in being able to support and having our organization support, because I think we want to make sure that we really have data-informed and data-driven decisions about where and how to make these investments. I think that we really want to get down to as micro level as possible. So, where are the schools and the neighborhoods that need additional funding for OST, so students and their families can access them in a way that is most convenient. So we're avoiding any transportation issues and challenges. And then I think one of the things that I know our organization is really excited about for the increased funding is we know in general there's a greater demand for OST than there is currently programming capacity, but it's also being able to make sure, as Commissioner Peacock was saying, that we have a holistic approach. So programs that maybe don't have a huge academic focus, that are maybe focused more on sports or arts or something along those lines, are still able to, maybe with some additional funding, they can incorporate more academic support to help address learning loss, but also that, also so we don't lose sight of the fact that young folks who are coming out of the pandemic, whose communities have really suffered the most, that we are not neglecting the social emotional learning loss and just the space that all young people need to grow and develop.
Thank you. And Reverend Hill.
Yes. Within the commission, we have several subcommittees. One, as my colleagues have mentioned, needs assessments. Committee is actually a committee. We have a funding and capacity committee. And these committees engage the community. We get feedback from the committee, from the community. And these are also meetings that are held outside of our regular commissioners meeting. just to get the heartbeat of the community and what's necessary. And then we kind of build that up through these committees, the two committees that I've just mentioned, along with other committees, when we have our committee of a whole, and we take a look at all the data and all analysis and determine what's best for the community in terms of leveraging the equity fairly across all 8 wards.
Thank you. That's helpful. I don't have any other questions for you. Please, all of you, I didn't get your statements, so make sure we get those today. And the 3 of you, the 2 of you who I don't have the written answers, get those to us today. Can't emphasize that enough. I will repeat for the public, since this is publicly accessible. The record in this matter closes on Monday at 5 p.m. And it's my intention to put forward the resolutions, your nominations before the council on Tuesday. It's moving fairly quickly. So I want to thank, make sure I get my numbers right. There are 4 of you here. I want to thank 3 of you for your service to date on the commission. I want to thank 4 of you for your willingness to serve for the 2 years the mayor's nominated you for. With that, I'm going to adjourn this roundtable. Again, thank you to each of you. If you have any questions, and in fact, I should say this, when you send the statements and the written answers, send them to Lakeisha Jordan on my staff. That would be L Jordan, Jordan at dccouncil.us. Lakeisha Jordan. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for your patience as we waited for everybody to log in. The time is now 10:27 in the morning.